So thank you both of you for coming, and thank you for participating and talking to our students.
So, Pankaj, before we start, I'd like to say that thank you for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure talking to young MBA students, MBA aspirants, because I was there many years ago, and it's almost deja vu. You feel you're back where you had started out from. What was that feeling when we started the first day at the institute? What did it feel like? What were we expecting? What were the things that were in our mind, and how slowly there was a whole lot of unlearning which happened. We came back on terra firma to understand that this is real life and this is how we need to go about it. Also, I'd like to say that really honored to be here with Santosh, an eminent thinker. Really read his columns regularly. Also know of, I've also been fortunate to attend a couple of talks that he had given at various places, and always come away really inspired. So thank you for this opportunity once again.
Welcome. Yes, I want to make a starting statement.
No, I just echo the sentiments that Anjali has expressed. I think it is always a pleasure to be back and talk to young students. It's an exciting time, it's an interesting time, and a lot of changes happening, something that Anjali is an expert in. And I look forward to listening to this conversation. Pankaj is an old friend and someone who always is deeply thoughtful about contemporary issues, and I suspect this is going to be fun.
Okay, so you set the ball rolling by saying it's going to be fun. So how much fun it's going to be to the students? Let's start from that. Everyone keeps talking about what the MBAs expect when they go into corporate world or something. I'd like to know something. What the world, corporate, society, and society at large, what do they expect from young people who studied management for a few years, were supposed to be top of their league? What does the world expect from them?
Well, I think there are two levels of expectations. One is, of course, for them to come in moderately ready to contribute and become part of the system as it exists, and therefore in some ways to fit in. So part of the expectation is the fact that you know the rules of the game, you have a basic amount of intelligence that has been sharpened to a point where it becomes useful. To me, that is a basic expectation. The higher order expectation, I think, is something that I think is the more interesting part, which is, I think the purpose of education is always is if you can challenge things rather than merely fit into them. Not every corporation is looking for that, I must tell you. But the larger expectation, if you were to pull back and look at the fact that this is a new era, the fact that there is an acknowledgement that old understandings do not hold you in good stead today. Given the fact that acknowledgement exists, I think there is a need and there is an expectation that young people come in and actually have new ideas and are able to look at the world in a slightly different way. And I think this combination at one level of fitting in and knowing enough to contribute, but as well as being able to provide a new, perhaps a challenging viewpoint, I think would be the kind of expectations that
So that's what the companies and the world is expecting from that. Anjali, you work with mostly young people.
Yeah.
So the average age in your office would be 18.
No, not that low. They are not kids. But yes, about 22 to 24.
22 to 24.
Yeah.
So you must be dealing with a lot of people of the same age.
Yes.
Who are here.
Yeah.
And what do you expect from them?
Very good question. I have a long list of my expectations from them. But I think most importantly, what I expect them is to be curious and to keep learning, to come with an open mind, to keep asking questions, because Santosh said it rightly, we expect you to have a basic level of training, a familiarity with various parts of an organization and so what is finance and what is marketing and what is HR, and so you know all the, you know, the jargon, you know all the technical words and concepts. But after you completed your MBA, that's when your learning actually begins, which is in real life. And unless and until you keep asking questions, unless you are curious, even till the day you retire and beyond, if you don't keep asking questions and if you don't keep learning, you become, you know, you outlive your usefulness pretty soon in an organization. So I want people in my organization who want to know and who want to ask questions. So that is the primary thing that I look for, a sense of inquiry, a sense of curiosity.
You are echoing here, Santosh, who said that this is what people need to, what you are bringing to the table, what's the new thought you've come up. And, but if we look at recent past, all the people who come up with big thoughts, they are not necessarily MBAs. So that's one thing which keeps coming to me, is MBA really, I mean, you need people to do business management and all that, because ultimately your learning comes from the University of Life. And Jeff Bezos and your Zuckerberg and everyone, even Sachin Tendulkar, they were not good at school, they never went to school. So why do you need to do MBA?
Let me answer that in two ways. One is that personally, I'm not a great fan of the MBA.
But you've done MBA.
I'm done an MBA, but I'm not a great fan of the MBA as it stands today.
And supposedly from the best institute in this country.
Supposedly from the best institute in the country. But I'm not a great fan of the MBA. And I'm not a great fan of the MBA because of the fact that it promotes a false sense of certainty on the basis of very little.
Correct.
It gives you a little smattering of a lot of subjects, and it gives you powerful tools because it allows you, it's a generalized problem solving kind of mindset. But in its most basic level, it's a resource allocation program. Basically, it tells you I have objective X, I have resource Y, and how do I allocate resources across different objectives? How do I prioritize? To me, this is in a world, see, the old MBA is located in a world which was fixed, where things did not move very quickly, where all you had to do is, instead of putting 10% behind this, if I put 50 behind this, those were your decisions. Today's world is a world of creation, not the world of management. And that's the fundamental difference. We are looking for, increasingly the world is looking for people to come and create. The old MBA is not a creator's program.
It's manager.
It is a manager's program.
Correct.
In the old world, it was glorious to be a manager. Today, it is very limiting. All you want to do is to be a manager. That seems to be a very limited. How do you move from, and that to me is the challenge of the MBA today. The challenge of the MBA is to move from a limited view of coping, managing, allocating resources to understanding, anticipating, fluidity, being able to stay ahead of it and to create.
And to create value.
And therefore to create value. And the names that you've taken are the people who are doing that. They are using management principles. If the great thing about being a Jeff Bezos is you can hire managers, which is what I think more and more of the creators are doing. Managers are useful, hire them.
But okay, fine. If you hire managers, then you'll need managers, and then you'll need MBAs.
But to do lower order jobs, from a time when MBAs were running things.
So MBAs become the shop floor now.
In the new economy, yes.
But in but in a pyramid which is huge and big, MBA could be the lower thing.
No,
but
the other way is Pankaj is to reimagine the MBA. So that
absolutely, that's
that
right.
Is the opportunity.
How to create a new study system of MBA, which we are trying to do.
Yeah, because when an MBA graduate goes out in the world after her or his degree, that's when I said the real education actually begins, because this world is very different from what it was when I became an MBA. It was a very structured world. There was a proper career path. We were to go up the ranks, and you know, glory and success was always about wanting to be the top dog in an organization, etc., etc. So the corner office meant a lot of things. It is not so today. It is really about you know, doing something completely new, thinking of an idea and building an entire enterprise around it. So it is really about entrepreneurship in the true sense, and it's really not purely about managing. Entrepreneurs also manage. So how is it that today's MBAs, you know, instead of, you know, it's not a management program, it should be a skilling program for entrepreneurs, and I think that's the way I would want to reinterpret this.
Instead of managing someone else's company, you manage your own company. First you think of your own company, you come up with a great idea, you create, and then you manage it. So that is one thing. Entrepreneurship is a big thing. We are also getting someone from the skills commission corporation now who will talk about skilling and which are the areas where skilling is needed and where entrepreneurship is needed. So we'll be doing that after this discussion. That comes. If now let's get some to this thing. When you are talking about entrepreneurship, it's not about what an MBA needs. You know, your clarity, you should do your Excel sheet and you should be very good at this and all those things which the students are going to learn in marketing, in finance and in HR, operations, supply chain.
Those are building blocks.
Yeah, those are only building blocks. So the main thing now becomes clarity.
Yeah.
So how, if you are in entrepreneurship, you need a clarity of vision.
Yes.
Okay. How will that come? Because it's, if you are experimenting, well, you have to experiment for that clarity.
Yeah.
And if you are experiment, then how you focus? That is the biggest problem the youngsters face. That on one hand you are asking them to experiment with the new ideas. You know, if it doesn't, something doesn't work, go to the other thing.
You know,
but then how to focus?
So Pankaj, I don't know. It's not either or. I believe that you need tremendous amount of learning before you can get into an experimentation mode. You can't be experimenting. Oh, I've got an idea today, and you know, I start experimenting. No. Unless and until you've really done your homework, unless and until you know what is around, what is happening in the market, how is it that economy is changing, how is it that financial institutions are changing, how is it that consumer interests or consumption patterns in the world are changing, unless and until you are aware of it, only then. So you need facts to support an idea. An idea cannot be a good idea purely because it sounds exciting. It needs to have the weight of fact, homework, solid data behind it in order to then bring it to fruition. So, and I keep saying, you know, a lot of young people, they come and say, I don't want to do servicing, I just want to ideate. And I'm like, great. I mean, just writing 2 cute lines of English is not ideating. You need to understand that whatever you are creating is solving a business problem. So first you need to understand what is the business problem. For that you need to understand what is the business. So it's a lot about, you really need to know a lot before you get into experimentation. So you need focus, and therefore you need focused inquiry and then experiment.
That's it. You ideate. I mean, you have headed one of the largest advertising agency in the country, and this ideate thing actually starts from there. You know, I'll just sit and ideate, and I come up with a cracking promotion or something. This whole ideate thing. You know, we have a problem, and I think every business school has a problem. That one semester people will come, I want to do marketing. Second semester, I can't handle marketing, I want to go in HR. Third, they'll say that we are ideating, you asked us to experiment, so now what? So what Anjali is saying, when do you get to know that you have done enough in one area that you can now move your focus?
See, there isn't really a way, you know, there isn't a
no, for students. I mean, a company, okay, fine. I've done sales for 12 years. Now I'm moving.
Yeah. See, eventually that's a definition that everyone will have to arrive at in their own heads. There is no objective external measure that will tell you that you've done enough, because at one level people devote their lives not even to marketing but to a small aspect of it, and then they find that that pursuit is incomplete, right? So it depends entirely on how. I think to a certain extent what is happening today is that unlike an earlier time when what you liked and what you worked at were two different things.
Yes.
What you were passionate about, what you were interested in, and what was your profession, these were only incidentally related at times. You did a job, you went because that was your, you were supposed to do a job. You may have interests and hobbies on the side. Today, increasingly, it is possible for people, for those two to sit together. What interests you, what you are passionate about, where you believe, see the test is this an area where you believe you are thinking in an original sense? Where you are actually, do you have questions in your head that you are excited by? I think the best test of interest is to go back to what Anjali had said to begin with, curiosity and questions. Answers will come. The fact that you know how to answer something well is not reason to do it. The reason to do something is if when you think about it, new questions keep popping up in your head. Because then it knows that you are on a path to discovery, you are on a, genuinely you are interested, you want to know more, you want to engage more. To me, if there is a test, it is as to whether when studying something, you want to know more, questions keep popping in your head, and you find yourself excited by that pursuit of those questions. To me, that would be one way of looking at it.
Okay, there's one thing also, here, which is about the people keep saying that I'm very good at this, okay, and I have cracked it. In an institution, in an MBA course, how do you decide that you cracked it? Your project,
so that's
you've done a thesis, you've written a paper.
So, okay, again, I came back to what I said earlier. It's not about having a bright sounding idea. It is really about, does that thought or idea or project or innovation, whatever that you have thought of or done, is it solving an actual problem? That I think is the crux of the matter. And when people say I have cracked it, it really needs to go through some serious, checks to see whether it is actually solving a problem, or it at some point of time it just fritters away and really doesn't. It just sounds and looks very nice, it's packaged very well, but eventually it hasn't done what it was supposed to do. So that's what, what does cracking it really mean? And that is a measure which everyone needs to ask oneself, and it's not an external, how do I say, approval, a stamp of approval, you've cracked the idea. No. It is really about, have I been able to connect the dots right till the end? Does that idea have hands and legs to, walk across and go from point A to point B? That is very important.